Right, welcome everybody. It's the Town Forest Stewardship Committee meeting on July 9th. We've got a quorum and nobody online. In fact, it's hard to know if we actually have internet connection to the. I guess we must. Actually, I don't know.
I think this is hardwired in, so I think.
Okay. So anyway, we're getting a recording at least. So that's good. Agenda is going to be ad hoc a little bit tonight because we didn't. I failed to respond with agenda items when Roger sent out his request, and I guess everybody else has as well. Thanks for staying on top of the requests. So.
I have a skeletal agenda in the folder. It's just kind of the default. I want to talk a little bit about the outside classroom request.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that'll be new business. Other new business is the Peter Welsh visit. Trail maintenance and forest management report. We've got a couple of items to report and discuss under that topic heading. Other sort of administrative stuff. We don't have minutes to approve from our last meeting. Those minutes are still forthcoming due to technical delays and getting a hold of the last meeting recording. So
we do have to formally approve the May minutes, which are in the folder.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. Thanks for the reminder.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if anyone had a chance to look through them. They're basically taken straight from the video. So
that was because that did not get the last meeting. Didn't happen. You're saying
it didn't happen last meeting. Yeah,
gotcha.
We pushed it forward to this one.
We had they were available for review at that time, and we just didn't have a quorum. They weren't complete. Okay. Has anybody had a chance? Have folks reviewed them? Do they have any comments?
I have not reviewed those as I did show up that meeting, so that's one of the things that did.
We can punch it again if you want.
Yeah. Let's postpone both of those, and we'll catch them in the next meeting. That will be the August meeting.
So that would be May and June meeting.
It'll be May,
June and
July. But I'll have all the notes in the folder leading up then, and I'll probably just push the drafts to Bradley and put them on the website.
Yeah. All right. Cool. There's just
I'm gonna check in with Dolan and try to get into his head a little bit more about his schedule for posting the videos, because that's what I've been doing is going back, and because when I'm speaking, I'm not taking notes. So I usually go back to fill in those blanks because I'm engaged in conversation sometimes for a long time because I'm long-winded. So it's hard to recall everything. And I know it's still just a summary, but I just want to make sure I'm not missing. That should be archived.
so if we're saying not at a meeting, but we watch a recording, does that count as saying yes to the meeting if you go and then visit the meeting notes and they line up? Does that work? Do we know?
Seems fine. I'm going to speculate and go out on a limb. I think as a voting member, you can choose to abstain if you weren't there, or if you do that kind of review and say, yeah, the notes track accurately to what I saw in the recording. I'm not going to tell you not to vote that way.
Fair enough.
It's really how you want to place your vote. It's your discretion.
Yeah.
And all the recordings are in the folder.
The recordings are posted on the town of Wolcott YouTube channel. Specifically on the YouTube channel. I do make sure it's the town of Wolcott, because they're the Wolcott, Connecticut that you right out.
So, I think there's another topic for discussion, and I guess it's an agenda item, which is probably just committee leadership and committee enthusiasm agenda stuff. So I'll just say I'm feeling like I'm not providing the level of leadership that I would like to see happening here. I think there's great opportunities to do stuff. And I'm just finding myself not having the energy in between meetings to follow up on stuff. I've been able to track the fact that there's some emails landing in my inbox and also have some conversations with Luke about the bidding process and getting the work done on the trails or the Forest Road closeout stuff up here on the Bourne parcel. I'd love to see somebody organizing some work on, I mean, there's so many things that could be happening. And I know that there's some enthusiasm, there's hints of interest coming in from the field. And I'm sure if we start promoting stuff, we could generate more interest in things like building a new trail that Trevor and his folks from People's Academy have already done some work on. And trail maintenance projects. I know a couple of community members have taken it on themselves to help clean branches and throwing stuff off of the trails. But it's not happening in an organized way. And I think I suspect that with a little bit of attention to organization, probably a lot more could happen. I don't have the energy to do it. I'm happy to continue to either step down as chair if there's anybody else that feels motivated to pick it up immediately, or to continue. I'm happy to continue to run meetings, but I'm personally feeling like there's so much more opportunity, and I'm just not finding the energy myself to stir things up. So if there's somebody out there that's got it, I want to step out of the way and let somebody else to do something. I love this, and I'm happy to continue to provide what I can, but I just feel like there's somebody else that's got energy. I should do it.
Yeah, I mean, I can just speak to myself. It's just, I love the idea, of helping out more and having inspiration and all that. I'm just so caught up in my own stuff, and it's all outdoor. With my Christmas tree plot, I'm barely keeping up with the things I want to do there. And it's just the reality. And I'm fairly good at showing up to the meeting, and then like if someone else has a good idea and I can fit into it, I'm like there, and sometimes I can make myself get something done. But I haven't walked the trails this year. It's just the reality for me. I wish I had more time or energy myself, but yeah, I'm fairly spread thin. If I was spread thin in like an indoor setting, maybe I would have a little more of just like it's like all day long, and it takes that energy. So yeah.
This isn't to put everybody on the spot and go around the room, but on the other hand, curious.
Yeah.
The floor is open.
Well, I'm involved in other organizations, and there's a lot going on in those organizations, so I have very little time to devote to this. I mean, I would want to be, if there was something organized, I would volunteer to show up and help out, but I don't have the wherewithal to do the organization. It's part of it.
Well, it's my first official meeting.
I didn't
even have access to the folder yet, so and I don't even know who the members of all the members of the committee are.
So Trevor's on the
You're perfect.
Well, perfectly happy having you as our chair. You come up with some ideas, we'll do what we can to help you. Maybe we could get a few other mountain bikers, from different trails, come and give us a story of their, and tell us what they've done to their trail, what they want to see happen in the future. Would they like to ride our trails? And do we need more publicity? What do we need? That's my idea.
I can speak for a bunch of mountain bikers, but we can come back to that in a minute.
Oh, can speak.
Yeah, we're going around. My turn.
Yeah, public
This is my
comment.
dog Alice, by the way. Yeah,
Yes, are you a new member? I think I am probably too young and not all the people enough to take over yet. Yeah.
Absorbing the.
she was interested in the process and said she wanted to come along.
Nice. Yeah.
Sorry, this might not be representative of how it really works, most of the time, but I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I also just like showing up to events that I wasn't invited to. Now it's your attention.
I also engaged in other organizations. I think for me, it's not so much that I wouldn't mind stepping into some of these other project management roles, but I probably want to shed the secretary role if that's the case. Because it's already a lot just juggling enough to keep the notes and everything and the postings kind of all scheduled and sent in a timely fashion. And as you can see, as the summer goes on, it kind of drifts a little bit. And now that's why in August we're approving 3 months of meeting notes instead of just one.
Yeah.
Which is not appropriate and not correct and shouldn't be happening regularly. But I don't know if there's an AI tool that can take our notes for us and put them in a transcript, which might be, a cheap investment to put it forward to. But in terms of kind of like emceeing with Luke and trying to communicate to Michelle or the select board, kind of work that project a little bit. I could do that. But I would have to say the way that I'm spread out, I'd probably have to trade off some of these secretarial roles in some capacity if that's what I'm gonna go towards, which I'm perfectly fine with. I mean, I've been doing the secretary stuff for 4 years. So if someone else wants to take a turn at it, kind of throw that out there. I mean, I probably do more than I need to in the role of secretary. The notes probably don't need to be as detailed as I like to present them. But it's an idea of something we could do. But I don't know. Like I said before, I'm not really interested in being the chair, because working on the school board, the OSSU board, and I know it's going to be a dense conversation for the next few months just because the budget vote was so tight this last session. So that's there. I'm also on the Youth Symphony, the Green Mountain Youth Symphony board. So I just took on a treasurer role for that board. So I'm kind of stepping into that role as well. So I mean, that's where I'm at in terms of it. In my mind, the project that I was kind of shaping on the horizon was this idea of the outdoor classroom, which I'll talk about in a little bit. It's not a huge project, but if because of the timeliness of the other work that needs to be done with the conservation district, if I've got to change tracks and provide support for Loop, I can be available for that if that's something that's helpful.
Okay. I can keep working with Luke and the select board. I'm into that project already, and I love it's inspiring enough for me.
That's fine, man. I prefer that just because you have momentum on that project. I just try to fish around the edges and try to see what everyone was thinking.
So we need somebody else who, you know, it can be a subcommittee chair or something.
Actually,
Yeah, you don't show up in the meeting, you get the action items, right? I mean, I'd like to think of ways to get more enthusiasm, more activity. Part of it is I look at what Northern Rivers Land Trust has got going on, and you know, I think when things start happening, momentum builds. And so just getting some stuff off the ground and activity, you know, people could get inspired. But if we can't do it, I mean, you know, with the exception of Trevor, everybody in this room has been coming to these meetings for how long now? Like 5 years almost.
it's of course.
Yeah, I'm looking at the official committee members, not that, so sorry.
Members of the public.
They do. And you know, Trevor, your enthusiasm by showing up and for several meetings, and you know, to the point where we're like, come on, let's make this guy a member. You know, want to acknowledge that. So it, you know, I mean, we're all putting in time that we can. And maybe that's just the way it is, right? Maybe the rest of the town has a similar thought process, like, hey, the forest is a nice thing to have, but I don't have time to devote to it. And so if, you know, if this is what we get, that's what we get.
Okay.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I just felt like in the beginning, there was like a lot of things we had to do, like in order to make it all happen. And that was that had its own weight and, you know, and it gave a lot of energy, at least for myself. And I was like, I found a lot of motivation in that. And I feel like as a group too, there was more, you know, there's just more momentum from that sense. And then now that we've got the land and it just seems like less pressing, I guess. Especially not in the chair role. It's there's not a lot that seems to be having to get done. So I personally, if it's not like feeling like, yeah, I need to throw myself into it to make something happen. I just don't really have I'm gonna be off in some other area that needs my attention. So I guess it seems to be just kind of in that's where we're at. At least that's my perception is there's not as much pressing. The trails are done and yeah, they need the occasional maintenance, but you know, if a trail was to wash out and like, whoa, we got to get that fixed, then there would be some urgency. But I guess yeah, without that urgency, I'm personally just kind of like, I'm not gonna make the urgency happen if it's not there, if I don't feel it. So maybe that's kind of collective, but what's going on? We're into a lull of the forest, I guess, and it's into a new phase.
Yeah. For myself, I'm really excited to start working on trails, especially mountain bike trails, in the front part of the Bourne parcel, and that's on hold until we get this other work done on the forest road reclamation. So you know, I feel that I think about the walking trail that we've talked about. I've looked around on the far side of the parcel headed east on Route 15 with the thought that there could be some more challenging mountain bike trails down in the lower portion of that where the terrain is interesting. And this is, you know, speaking as a mountain biker and knowing this is a part of the mountain bike community that I interact with. I put my bike in my car, I come to the bottom of Town Hill, and I think, where am I going to go biking? I'm going to drive to Morrisville to Cadiz Falls because the trails are more challenging. And there's a lot more of them, and they hold my interest. You know, again, this is I'm speaking for only a part of the mountain biking community. I realize that, but I think it's the part of the mountain biking community that has momentum to interest in construction, and will drive more interest in what we've got going on here. I think the families from Stowe aren't going to drive all the way out here for our 5 miles of trails when they can do their things at Katy Hill and Stowe, or the Stowe bike path, or the rail trail even. So when we get this other terrain over here available, that I think that will be a watershed. That's one piece of it. Another possibility that I can see that I think about a lot is at the southern end of the board parcel, and the southern end of the forest, for either hiking trails or biking trails, like going up from the fields and doing more to make the bridge crossing in the fields an inviting place for people, and a recognized place. I could pitch it either way. One is it's beautiful the way it is, and it's less trafficked and pristine is a great thing. But that's kind of not the point of the town forest. It's here for people to enjoy, and it was funded by Vermont Outdoor Recreation. What is it? BORAC, REC. I forget what Economic Recreation and Economic Council. There's a lot of wilderness around that's just wilderness, including 5,000 acres of Woodbury Mountain, that by New England Wilderness Trust is conserved as forever wilderness. So having places that are actually reaching out to people a little bit more for inviting them to come and see what we've got here, to me makes sense. I'm just throwing these out as some of the ideas that come up. One other idea actually that I would want to throw out is we actually have is an amazing research opportunity. If we do more with opening things up for recreation, the acreage has not been open for public recreation for forever. It's proximal to places like the Woodbury Mountain areas that are conserved. It would be really interesting to do a study, get like a baseline wildlife survey of what we've got here, how if we can do something with like game cams or something. And I say we, I'm thinking more like being able to engage Fish and Wildlife or UVM or some other research organization. You could easily pick up a parcel someplace up in Woodbury Mountain, for instance, or the wildlife, wildlife management area up by Still or some other place, and do a control study, picking similar terrain and similar accessibility profiles, and seeing what happens when you have trails in one place, not in another place. These are ideas that have been swimming around in my head, and I feel guilty for not actually having energy to do something with them. I guess that's why I'm giving voice to them now.
Has there been any other discussion about the Vermont huts and how they approached us and said that they were thinking about doing a hut on our trail system?
No, it's their presentation.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
I think that would really put us on that. And draw more folks in.
What that I've been coming from is focusing more on integrating the students from the school and bringing them into the forest. It's just kind of even with the art project last fall, it's just like the area of interest, like the primary area of interest for me in the town forest is to bring kids out into the woods. It seems to be some of the staff at the school want and are looking forward to in terms of the project and as a resource, but also to just kind of the more the kids can be out in the woods, the more they feel ownership of it, and the more that they'll want to explore it. Because, like you said, the biking trails themselves are challenging for someone who's just getting into mountain biking. But they're almost too challenging to be part of like an introductory gym program on the bikes. Like for instance, Holly won't even take the kids up on some of the trails because they're too advanced for the beginners or for the wee ones. So it's kind of like that weird space where it's like it's a little bit too challenging for the beginner, but a little bit less challenging for the expert. So for me, the lily pad that brings people to the forest has got to be through the school, through education programs, and also creating like essentially a presentation space in the forest or an outdoor classroom, essentially. So if we want to do like a speaker series or something, we can do a short hike to the presentation space from the parking lot, do a presentation, go walk to a particular part of the park. Or if the kids are studying like wildlife or the seasons or anything along those lines, just the natural sciences, having a landing pad where they can kind of discuss the lesson and then go to an area of interest in the forest that is proximal to the classroom setting. So what they're asking for is not like anything like, they're not looking for a lot of infrastructure, but they're looking for basically like stumps or benches that they can kind of have like a semicircle, and a cabinet with a chalkboard or a whiteboard in it that they can open up and just kind of, illustrate the lesson or hang a poster up inside of it and then close it when they're done. And a little bit of signage to just let people know that there's student crossing in case it's a heavy biking day.
Yeah.
We did identify an area which made a lot of sense. It's happy to show it to you all. It's essentially one of the turnouts off of Visa, like right before Grand Central, like just below Grand Central. There's a little turnout away from the school that isn't much of anything in terms of a trail. Like there's not a lot of incline to it. It's really just a turnout.
Yeah.
So we thought that little area right there could be made into a spot where they could put a couple of hammocks up, put some stumps in, put in a blackboard, and you don't have to really convert much because it's already pretty big. And it's proximal to the school. But ultimately, as the kids and the teachers are used to going out into the forest, having areas that align with the curriculum is something that I wanted to work with them to develop over the next couple of years. So no huge moves in that respect. I think the idea is to just, the more we can bring the kids into the woods, the more that they're exploring different places, or they get curious about places they haven't been to yet, or they're like, oh, I see that trail sign, but I've never been up there, or that kind of stuff. So for me to bring people in and get them excited about maintaining that forest, they need to feel a sense of ownership and have that sense out there and have a couple of destinations in the forest, which brings them through it. It also can double as a presentation space, like I said. So if we want to bring a speaker in, rather than have do a presentation in this room, or or if they want to do a presentation and then a hike or something similar, or if you just want to have like a couple local musicians that just want to have like a small like acoustic concert, without a lot of like like not a lot of like extra gear or anything necessary, just set up and play some songs in nature and like be contemplative. It could be used as that space as well. But a destination space beyond just the trail network itself, I think, is a critical part of what we can add that would bring more interest into it.
And just maybe have some occasional community walks, like a snowshoe hike or a bird walk or a foliage walk, just something really low key, and just to keep, the momentum going and remind people that we have this resource that, is really cool.
Yeah. Those ideas for things to do are 100% support them. Somebody just has to organize.
Yes, right.
But back to your point about that specific spot, I know the spot you mean, and to fit it up a little bit more with the basic equipment that you were describing, seems like a perfect use from my perspective. It's it's a nice well-defined space for a teacher to keep some elementary school students, to say, here's how much room you can have. So I love that idea.
Yeah, their big thing was not so much bringing kids into the forest, it was bringing them to a spot where they could get the kids out, do the lesson and get them back in
Yeah.
on time for the next, for the schedule change.
Mhm.
But
But I think having a double or, the multiple uses, it's perfect, as I said, perfect spot for somebody bringing a guitar.
if we're comfortable with that spot, I'll start bringing some more energy in and kind of doing a layout. And I'll try to bring that to the August meeting. I think the idea is we want to get something fleshed out so that when we get into the budget cycle, if there's an investment that needs to be made, we can plan on building it out in the spring, summer of next year.
Up near the school, is that what you're talking about?
What's that?
Up near the school?
Yeah, it's right off, the spot that I'm envisioning is if you're going up Ease Up from the parking lot off of East Elmore. There's the trail, study hall trail that goes to the school.
Yeah.
And right up before you get to Grand Central Station where you got the big squeeze and green path kind of conversion at Grand Central. Just below that, like just maybe like 50 feet below that, there's a little turn off of Ease Up that is kind of just a flat spot on the trail that has a little elbow out. We were looking at that spot of like kind of taking that over and making that, because it's already largely cleared out and it's flat and it has a good backdrop and it's close enough to the school where it's just a quick little walk. And then that was the area that we were eyeballing, was like, this is because they're bringing kids there now. They just don't have the setup to, kind of facilitate the lesson. They have to bring everything with them and then bring it back. So I think that's pretty much what they're doing, is like, they said like a blackboard, essentially like a small cabinet for just, chalk or dry erase markers or whatever we're storing out there. Just some stumps, and they said, and there's a lot of trees there. They asked if they could hang up some hammocks out there, which I thought was a really great idea. So that's the scope of the project in terms of that space. It's just really accommodating. I mean, I think ideally the class sizes are never this big, but set it up for like 25 kids. It's probably all we would need to do.
Like seating, what do you picture for seating?
Stumps. That they asked for just stumps that are cut to the right height.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of maintenance required for that.
I mean, stumps with a bench across them is one more step, and it might be a little easier to.
Yeah, I'm sure they would be happy with whatever they built. But I think with the stumps, it gives them a lot of flexibility in how they want to use the space.
So they can be moved around a little more.
Yeah, or if they're set in the ground, you can move around them, and so.
Yeah.
We might want to put benches in other places along the trail where we want to encourage people to stop, or if there's a good vista, or we know that's where the morning sun comes through on like July 22nd in the morning or something. But that's what I've been focusing my summer energy on, is trying to build that space with them, because they have time in the summer to do planning, but once the school year starts, they're not really they're not in the planning phase. They're just kind of, they're battling with students and the timetable and all that, and they're getting the work done. Because I reached out to them originally in January, but they're just like, well, it was the middle of the school year. I'm like, I know, I just got excited about that. But they reached out to me back in May and we talked. So this is the planning time. I think just trying to get it together if we want to make a build or a bid, or if we need to buy anything or get in specialized labor, someone to build a cabinet, for instance, folded into the 27-28 budget. A couple other small things, since I'm kind of ad-libbing the schedule at this point a little bit. I did order trail map posters to post at the kiosks.
Yeah, thank you.
And for the town office here, they literally said that it would be delivered today. It had not been delivered when I left for this meeting. But the way UPS works is if they say it's going to be that it should arrive on Thursday, it almost always shows up the next day. So I'll probably see it tomorrow. I'll hang one up promptly at the parking lot. I'll hang one up in the town office here. I ordered 4, just in case we wanted to post them elsewhere where we don't yet have kiosks, but at least have them so that they're all kind of uniform and of the same era when we post them. It's the zoomed in. I think I updated Bradley. I asked Bradley to update it on the town website. So that there was that entire park map that was listed under the trail map tab. I had him do the zoom in one where it's just the trails as the primary link. Because I'm like, well, if it says trail map, we should just focus on the trails and get the best view that we can, or that we have available. I don't know, the best view that we can. So that should be set up. He also said that he can set up a QR code. Yeah, he sent 2 samples, one of which would go right to the map, one of which would go to the forest page. And he just asked me which one we would prefer. My preference would be the map. But I don't know. I just wanted, since it came in today, I figured I would just ask you all at the meeting what you all thought. And we're gonna post the QR code and like this, it will be on the site, but posted at the kiosk, posted at the entrance of study hall from the school. So if people want to scan it, take it right to the map.
Yeah, map seems more,
Yeah.
more like, more usable.
And more of what we have right now. We had talked about doing a QR code a few months. What made me pause, we had talked about, we originally talked about the QR code. We had talked about also having a elevation page for friends of the Wolcott town forest. And we haven't built that yet. So there's nothing to connect to there, right? So, but we can always reorient it later.
URLs are easy to change.
QR code for reporting trail issues too.
I guess that did come up in that conversation as well.
Like blowdowns or whatever.
He has 2 QR codes. We could have both posted and just have, when it points to the home page, we could just add a button that says, if you want to report trail conditions, dangerous condition here or something like that. We could create a button as well. I didn't necessarily want to lead with that because it might change the vibe as people, oh, should I be careful on that? But yeah, we could do that if we're into that.
Oh, I noticed there was a poplar tree that kind of fell over the bridge. I don't know if anybody else noticed that. It's pretty small. I could probably get it with my electric chainsaw.
The bridge over the river.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that was not there when I was there last.
I've been out there in a week.
It's about 10 days ago, a week ago Tuesday. I went out there and I hiked from the parking lot all the way to the float tank, like up through Green Path float tank, across the street, went around Mobius and took Twist back. Took a bunch of pictures, but the trails were looking largely pretty good for the most part. We moved a lot of trees, it's just blow down limbs and stuff like that, nothing really epic. I think the most troubling section, I think that I saw, because I didn't go up on Big Squeeze, I didn't go on Lance Lightning.
Yeah.
And I didn't go up Road Trample either. Just like the main through. But probably the area that's the most dangerous is actually right when you come off of the Stellmore up Float Tank. There is a small bridge, and then there's like a really muddy patch with big rocks right there. And I'm just like, that would be fun to ride your bike through. But maybe
Trevor and I are responsible for some of those rocks.
Nice. Excellent. And just to be like, because we both looked at it, we're like, this might need a little bit more love, but it seems like it's a work in progress.
Yeah, that was a work in progress. The amount of mud that was there the day that the volunteers were working on it. They could get so much done of putting stuff in, but then it just became.
Understood. And some of it just
It
have to wait for it to
seems like
settle.
there's like a spring, basically right there, the water flow in that section of the trail is interesting. We're gonna have to keep a watch on it for sure.
And then there was some channeling just as it's up, just the water running down the logging road, just running down really fast, starting to channel in some spots. Not really bad yet. But that's the thing, it's like, if it's
Yeah.
already channeling now, it'll get worse and worse and worse. Every time we get heavy rainfall.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to bring it up, that that's something we should watch as well. And another thing is there's actually a lot of woodpecker damage to the signs across East Elmore. So when you go up in Mobius
Uh-huh.
and you go in the twist area, it's like where twist exits and goes back into Mobius.
Uh-huh.
Two of the signs up there have been woodpeckered to the point where they're half readable. It's really adorable, but at the same time, like, we're not gonna have a sign.
Wow.
And also,
Showing on the signs. That's-
I mean, yeah, they just, who knows the mind of a woodpecker, not me. They certainly like banging and thinking something's gonna happen. And the other thing is, at least one of the screaming eagle signs has been stolen. The one facing the road there.
Uh.
If I had to guess, I would guess maybe a member of the graduating sixth grade class. Cause teenagers never do stuff like that. But that's something like if we do replace it, we need to think about what that means. Yeah. Maybe we just replace it with a town forest entrance sign instead of the trail name and just have the trail name on the map. But if you got someone who's really, internalized the Wolcott eagle identity, it's hard not to want to put it up in your man cave, I guess.
Maybe
But
just make the sign like really tall, so it's hard.
really awkward.
Like really tall, so it's yeah.
Hard to fit into a big.
If Vincent Eagle was like screaming chickadee, it would be a little less intense. Chirping chickadee.
Another update, I don't know what's put out there is, I reached out to Hayden to get a document or copy of the stewardship plan that I could edit. Like, we have a PDF of the final draft that was approved,
Uh-huh.
but we don't have, at least that I had located in the folders. And I looked through the stewardship plan folders.
Okay.
There was no editable copy of the final draft. There was just a PDF copy, or
Okay.
the approved copy.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, well, if I'm gonna change these 3 sentences, I need to get in there. He said that Kate probably has it, she's on break right now, but
Uh-huh.
I made a connection with him, he said he's on that. But we'll make that update as soon as I get that file.
Cool.
And that's all I have for now.
Okay.
They've been mowing. That's a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I went a week and a half ago, everything was mowed. But
Mhm.
when I visited it, maybe a week and a half before that, it did not have been mowed, so I was kind of like biting my nails. I'm like, oh, are they gonna do this? But it's on their schedule. I think they were just waiting until June.
Fantastic. Any updates about follow-up to our discussion about getting like what's the word I'm looking for? Almost not pylons, but
The bollards.
bollards, yes.
I've not talked to a construction company about that yet, but I was looking at, when I walked there with my friend last week, we kind of hung out on the bridge for a little bit. I was kind of visualizing. No, I want to bring in the contractor. If someone knows, someone that they've worked with that they would want to drop a name, that's still more local, the better. It's really just some concrete work. I don't think it's anything super complicated, but you probably need at least a small machine. Anybody?
While we're at it, maybe we can get them to dig holes and so we can get them install a larger kiosk.
Yes.
We will be looking for a quote or
Someone to kind of visualize the job with. But yeah, ultimately a quote. Just because we wanted to do it in the last budget cycle, pulled out at the last minute because the town said they wanted a real number. They didn't want to just,
right.
give us $3,000 splitting in the ether that may or may not get used this year, and I thought that was appropriate. So I wanted to go back with an actual quote. It's likely that we would have to get multiple. I'm sure there's a whole process through town. I'm just trying to get an idea.
We can consult with the select.
I'm just trying to get an idea of like, from someone who does it for a living, what it might actually cost, without going too deep into it. Because I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I guess I could write it up, we could do a formal. We could shop for bids.
Maybe Shane Brown, who's, lives half closer to me than you, but halfway between our houses, one person comes to mind. Dave, maybe you have some idea what it would take to removable bollards? Yeah. Really does that.
My brother was helped out in various capacities. He did concrete work for years for Bradley Concrete. So that's just like, just totally is on his alley. So if you,
want to like email me, just make an introduction.
Sure.
Real quick,
Yeah.
I'll take the conversation up with him. I know it's the busy season, it's hard to get anyone,
yeah, yeah.
but I'm thinking next budget season, kind of in that cycle anyway. It's
Yeah. A little longer term.
yeah, a 6-month window, we should be able to get something in there.
Yeah. Get it started at least with an idea.
Visualizing the project, what kind of equipment might be needed, a range, and the town's gonna want people to submit bids, but we have to post the period and all that. I'm not super familiar with it, but I get enough from like what Lucas described, I get the general gist of it.
The thing, so Luke's spending money, I think that's originally comes from a federal source, which comes with a whole specific level of restriction and grant management stuff. So we may not be subject to the same level of
Right.
requirements.
But the town may still want us to put a bid out.
They may, I think,
It's not a big job, it's only.
You know what, probably, just going to the select board meeting a bit, Michael Parody probably could eyeball something and tell us how much money we should allocate for it.
Maybe I'll take some pictures, just give them an idea of what we think we might want there. All right, and yeah, they moved the school board meeting to Thursday, so I can start going to like several years later.
Like you. Oh, cool.
All right, that's like my not so sure list. That's kind of what's been grinding in my sausage mill.
As long as we're just brainstorming, I did have an idea a few months ago, and this is making me realize it again. There's a group out there, kind of New England based, that does, this kind of, when you start talking about the school, kind of got me thinking again about it. They do flying squirrel boxes that you can monitor, and they said you make a box that will be enticing to a flying squirrel because their habitat isn't doing so great. Tended to be more old growth, bigger trees with, there's a certain size tree with a certain size cavity in it that they need, which is not very present on the landscape anymore. And so the idea is to build boxes that are, they have a template for it that you can then monitor with it's a hatch. Like I'll look at, it's been a few months since I looked into it, but there's a way you build them so you can see if it's getting used. And I think for the sports, that'd be really cool, and it'd be really cool for, school involvement too. And there's certain habitat types that they're better. I think it's softwoods, but I'm not totally sure. Again, this was a while ago. So, but there is a website. I'll dig into it again. I thought that'd be kind of a cool project. That I could maybe, figure out how to get going on some level. Yeah. Because I was like, I'd like to do that at my own place too. Something that just kind of interests me. So
Maybe something,
there's such cool little animals.
if you got a pattern, that might be something that Maxfield
Yeah,
could have his kids build in the wood shop.
right.
I'm not gonna presume that he doesn't have a loaded curriculum, but I bet you there's some kids in that wood shop who are faster than others, who are looking for other projects to be involved in. Yeah, I'll follow up with you on that.
Cool. Yeah, I just needed a little more of a push or, but
Another topic talked about is game of logging and it's more the Pines fans. I had a brief back and forth with the person who was organizing it, and that ball is again is dead in that board at this moment. I'm aware of. Let's see. He said that he had a concern about making sure that he was scheduling things around the state and, and the right collection of places around the state. And then I got busy and haven't been able to get back to him. This was happening in the middle of my workday because we both work for state of Vermont.
He approached you.
No, I reached out to him. I think I'm on Teams.
I'm most certainly interested. I actually was signed up to do the game of logging in Merck Forest this year. But it was, I signed up for it, I paid the bill, and then I realized after I signed up on it that it was on Mother's Day. So
Sorry, honey, I'm gonna go.
So I had to pull out, I never noticed they gave me a refund, but it's something that I've been wanting to do. Anyway, so I'm totally down to jump and participate and be part of that. I don't necessarily have to organize it, but I definitely want to sign up for it.
I don't know that we have to do anything to organize it other than, announce we're ready, or we've got a spot and
Got it.
figure it out.
Yeah, I keep my eye on that program too, and it's rarely ever anything near us. It's either east or southeast or southwest or whatever it is. It's rarely, I've never seen any nearby, and I wouldn't mind, picking it too. So.
Plug this into my work notes and trying to remember to get that during the workday. Use at work. Okay. Let's see. So I think I've mentioned all the topics I had in my mind. We talked about, Luke has got the process going. There's, I think he's got the specs for a bid package and the process he needs to go through to get it out. The main thing is having a day for a walkthrough for the site. And it's got to be him that helps show people around. I have my imagination about how these things go, but it's all speculation at this point. Hopefully you can get 2 or 3 people to show up and take the walkthrough. That would be a mandatory. I don't think you can submit a bid without actually showing up for it. So that should keep it local. And the question is that the money has to get spent by a certain date this fall. So time is short, but I think there's word going out through the local channels. So hopefully that works out.
Through Blue.
Yeah.
Which will pretty much have to be underway and done before the next meeting, right? Because didn't this have to be done by August, the end of August?
I don't, was it August? I thought it was later in the season than
I thought it
that.
was September.
Yeah.
I'll have to double check.
And my email's not responding right now, so I can't find the latest in the message thread. But from what I saw from the last exchange between Luke and the folks he was working with, he was getting the support he needed on the bid package, and the dates were they were talking specific dates, and it looked like everything was moving smoothly. I can't think of anything else we need to talk about.
Just a question out of curiosity. I was kind of surprised to suddenly see a parking lot appear.
That's
And
I can answer that question. The Northern Rivers Land Trust contracted Dana Gravel to make a little parking area for the nature loop that's in the Tony Smith.
so whose purvey does that all fall under?
Northern Rivers Land Trust, they still own the parcel. And it's going to be transferred to the town once all of the work is done. There's a little, it's only a half-mile nature loop.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've walked it.
Yeah.
And the picnic table.
Right.
Benches.
Mhm. Almost.
Met some people, met some neighbors out on it. But was very curious how that worked. Who was managing that
Yeah.
work and where?
Northern Rivers Land Trust.
Okay.
Tony Smith left Land Trust, his property.
Okay,
So that's where the funding came from. And there's leftover from his bequest to do other conservation work. After that's all finished.
so what's, just to fill me in, what's the process then on, is that land to become part of the town forest or?
Yes, because we already approved accepting that parcel as part of the town forest.
And but someone said something about that happens next year. What's the process to?
As soon as, we're not sure the exact.
When does that become our responsibility to maintain and take care of?
Yeah, once it's
Probably
transferred.
not next year, is what Jackson said before, so it took probably until 27 to finish all the paperwork and whatever other investigations need to accompany it before the property transfer can occur. I'm assuming it's like if there's any environmental remediation that needs to be done and those kind of things. But
Might not be as involved as TPL.
yeah, fair enough.
We had a wetlands expert come out and walk the whole area and make sure that the trail wasn't, within the 50-foot buffer of the wetlands. And so I think it's all pretty much going smoothly, and it's going to happen quite quickly. Finished up.
Okay, so that is part of the criteria that a trail cannot be within 50 feet, did you say?
Yeah, 50 feet
Of the wetland. Which pretty much then cuts off that property to access the rest of the forest.
Well,
That wetland goes from border to border.
you'd have to have an elevated walkway puncheons. And we explored that. But, we still can't quite connect to the town forest trails, even with a puncheon trail. You'd have to go quite a ways further. So, that would be something for the committee to explore once land is transferred.
What did you say, Parchin? or-
Yeah, they're like boardwalks
Yeah.
that
Okay.
don't affect the wetlands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it sure would be awesome if Northern Rivers could install such a thing just to get across the wetlands, because I recognize it is a long ways from the existing town forest trails, but the getting the community to be able to flag a trail and just have a simple trail, I think would be reasonably feasible. Getting grants and getting the work to actually do the construction work for a boardwalk would be much more involved. And, I can certainly appreciate if Northern Rivers Land Trust has got lots of other important things they want to do. They're doing great work for us already, so I don't want to discount that. But boy, it'd be awesome if the ability to actually connect to the town forest, if it wasn't blocked within the Tony Smith property.
Well, the other issue is the maintenance of the boardwalk.
Well, sure.
And that's something that, we would have to take over as a town and the community. Yeah. And
True,
do we
true.
want to do that?
Yeah.
Do we have the?
Right, there'd be some liability issues with that too, probably.
What kind of liability issues do we have? Or I'm just curious about, the public's already up there.
Mhm.
And there's nothing stopping people from just wandering off a trail
Absolutely not.
and onto other neighboring property. And I guess with Roger, to your point of which maps do we start displaying and showing and making public
For us, it's like if there's time and energy and resources been expended to kind of open up access to an area, I think we should showcase it. I think that we should invite people in.
do we have any sort of liability concerns or anything once we say?
No.
So right now this property is in the Northern Land Trust.
Right.
Works.
So if people start wandering onto Trevor Corpse's property, that's at this moment their problem.
Is it posted?
That's like,
Well, then they might wander on to the property. It's not posted, right?
Good point. Yeah.
And all of the trails that are under conservation are well blazed. So people can see, you can see the markings on the edge of the boundaries. And so if abutting landowners want to post their property, they're welcome to do that.
I think you're raising a good point, though. I think it's a neighborly gesture for us to have some signage to say, please respect our neighbor.
And that too, yeah.
Which is not, when you say liability and going to like legal liability, if somebody falls and cracks their head open on the boardwalk.
yeah, I mean, maybe not liability, but responsibility or.
Yeah.
I think if we inherit the bridge or if we construct the bridge or the elevated walkway, I mean, we would have to have an inspection schedule, probably not every year, but probably every 2 or 3 years, have an expert go out, assess the structural integrity of it.
Yeah.
Any kind of repairs or maintenance would just be under our normal management budget line item.
Yeah.
But I do think that if something like that, like an elevated walkway, I mean, I think of like Mirror Pond and Tilton Park in California, which is almost all, this walkway well, in Tilden, where Mirror Pond, where we go to the turtles and everything, you get stuck in the mud all the time.
Hey,
Anyway.
But the whole section is elevated walkway.
Yeah.
And it's a feature, it's something that will draw people in, because it's especially if it's done well, and well maintained, it's an invitation for people to come in and enjoy it. And I think that in and of itself, if you give people a path, the majority of people will stick to the path. There are gonna get a few people that wander off. I would argue.
Hunters maybe.
Yeah, I would argue that you're always gonna get a few people that wander off regardless. Whether, and I think that's just part of growing up in the forest, but if it's causing problem behavior, just do everything we can to prevent, property destruction or illegal fires or like things like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what I used to do in the woods as a teenager. Probably don't need to get all of that on the record, but. But definitely it's like, but at the same time, if we don't have like hired personnel to patrol or anything like that, it's always going to be a reporting system regardless of what it is we're talking about in terms of activity inside the forest.
I think we should consider putting something in the signage, literally, we should put something up about respecting neighbors.
Yeah.
At some place, and probably not necessarily at the kiosk out in front where it sort of invites oppositional defiance sort of people to do something else, but at least to make sure the boundaries are clear. I'm thinking of Trevor having come to several of our meetings and knowing that he's what he said several times is he loves the idea of the town forest, but he also bought his house to be for his seclusion.
Most certainly.
And I hadn't really thought about it until you mentioned it, but having a public parking spot on a well-traveled road, a couple 100 yards from his house is probably making him anxious.
It's fair.
Yeah, I can imagine what his surprise level was when he. And because that town line, the property line goes right across his front lawn. I mean, it does come out of the woods across his open field.
Yeah.
And he did express, concern to us about suddenly now being his front lawn being part of the town forest.
Yeah.
So,
Can't be, I mean, we have to, we're thinking about hopefully, generations of users of the town forest and on the other hand, Tony Smith's property wasn't sold to a developer. So,
We might be able to come up with an argument or peaceful natural landscaping that can help enhance the privacy of the property line as well.
Does he mow it? Has he been mowing it, like that field that crosses over? Does he brush hog it or something?
I mean, it's tricky and then it's narrow because I couldn't even tell where the property, if I was in the town forest land, Trevor's land, father's land, it's very narrow strip that's easy to get.
Probably should get some little circle tags.
And I don't think the lines are well marked.
yeah, a few of us, including Jack Travelstead and Dave and I and Trevor, walked the property line and took a look at possibilities. This was before the cabin got moved out, and so it was probably been a year. So we've had Trevor's been part of conversations, and we kind of I don't know if he was totally shocked by the developments up there, but we've certainly had conversations with all the parties involved.
Look, this is why I'm asking to get caught up on the history that I've missed.
Yeah.
I wonder, once has that 2-acre lot or whatever been sold?
Yeah, that went quickly, actually.
Is there actual road frontage for us?
For the town, the
That enters town forest up,
yeah.
room for.
Take a, oh, for us to be able to get access to the forest? No, that's the problem. The wetlands,
I understand the wetlands, but I was wondering, can we get to that chunk of the forest from the road, from whatever the name of the
Yeah,
road?
the property doesn't cut off the entire road frontage. I think they carved out just a piece of.
It's not like landlocked. Is that what you mean by the other property, the 2 acres? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, you're asking if the 2 acres.
It doesn't landlocked.
No.
Chunk.
no, we've got a whole lot of road frontage. Northern Rivers has a property right now, but there's a lot of road frontage.
Yeah, it's just a corner.
But there is quite a chunk of hardwood on the southern end of Tony Smith's land, which is pretty much landlocked from us until we get access onto that section of Warren's property.
Yeah, correct.
So I have no idea what the status of that is as far as timber, or if it's ever been cut, or if it needs to be cut or whatever.
I don't think Tony ever logged.
Yeah, not in my memory.
You wouldn't have any, you'd have to get access from either Trevor or from your folks, right?
Yeah, or my well, maybe. But yeah, but the wetland, I mean, it cuts right through. I mean, it's a wetland from almost basically from Elmore all the way up the court. It's just
Towards driveway.
But there is an east side of that property that's dry.
yeah, right across on the other side. I see what you're saying. So yeah, access would be you'd have to cross, right? You'd have to probably cross. Wait, it would be tough. You'd have to go right through.
You'd have to come in from Warren's for us to take any logs off of it.
Yeah, pretty much, unless you use my mother's driveway, but that'd be tricky. Yeah. And it's steep back there too, behind her. It's like, I mean,
The brook is,
yeah, and
it's a
squirrel.
canyon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, the brook runs right down the middle of the property and it's steep.
No, I think Trevor would allow us to go in there as a group, a certain group for a certain function. You know, to use his right of way, his land to get to it. But I'm pretty sure he wouldn't let us go in there to do forest management. That's my opinion.
Right.
It'd be about the only way that I saw.
What's the status of the Westover property? Is that gonna be just remain part of the town, or is that gonna come under a forest or whatever?
Good question. I think it's up to the select board. Personally, I think it'd be awesome to have trails and, you know, accessibility because it's right there on the rail trail and the possibility of recreation trails that go, you know, from here to the other side of the Bourne parcel and up in there. But until it's a couple of things. I think that they renewed the lease with the person in Sugar. And if I remember, I vaguely remember in having a select board conversation where the income from the tap rentals was, you know, it's a nice thing. We lose the tax revenue because it's town property now because and it was condemned as FEMA property, so it'll never get developed. But the income from the SAP is a nice thing. I know, you know, one select board member expressed an opinion that it's nice to leave it completely undeveloped and as a wild animal corridor. I think that's one particular person who, you know, it's about interesting opinion and also one of the things I think about in terms of being able to do a study of the impact of recreation and you know, wildlife health. Also in the context of climate change. But the thing is, there's lots and lots of conserved property around. Something that's so proximal to town, the rail trail seems like the right place to put trails and have recreation.
Yeah, it's the connectivity is the big thing we're trying to piece together. And that's where the Act 181, which ruffled a bunch of feathers. I know a big part of that was trying to protect connectivity of wildlife corridors and but that kind of blew up in the legislature space. It got, you know, redacted parts of it and yeah, most places are not getting more connected these days. That's it's going the other way than people think about that. But yeah, it is interesting. Trails are different than roads. And what the impact is, I think is still being, you know, studied. And yeah, your idea of doing our own little study would be interesting. Yeah.
That whole section is essentially the QUISP project is taking place in that section. I think that's kind of the main energy that's being put into that area in this cycle, just that remediation work.
Yeah. And you know what? They're going to have to cross the Westover property to get to the sites to do the work.
You have to raise some tubes.
That's gonna open some things up.
Apparently, Kurt Billings has got permission to put in a community garden in a small parcel on the Westover land
Oh, okay.
that runs from where the sugaring holding tank is
Along the rail.
parallel to School Street and ends up behind where the Westover house was,
Oh,
where CCS is storing a lot of wood and
yeah.
whatever lumber right at this time.
Yep.
So if that community gardens is gonna be put there, that would pretty much eliminate any wildlife border through there. So,
Good point.
or maybe become a destination for the wildlife. Food plot.
maybe it'd be good habitat for woodchucks to chew off.
Is that's community garden, like you see outside of Montpelier where people from the town can plant?
Yeah, I think expanding the one I have out there now. This one, it's really nice, but it's also only so big. So,
I'm just curious. I think that works well in Montpelier where you have people who live in apartments. They don't have their own backyard necessarily. Most people, even in the village, kind of have their own backyards to do their own gardening. I don't know how that would work in Wolcott, but I guess we could find out, or Kurt can find out.
I mean, my understanding is that, there's a social aspect to it too. To get people together and kind of, share ideas and share experiences and knowledge. Community gardens are a good place to kind of, step away, and it's not just about you, what you're doing for your family, but it's also like, hey, let's work with something that I haven't worked with before, or whether it's a crop or a methodology. So it's a good place to kind of, it's like a good third space for someone who spends a lot of time on the homestead to kind of come out and just kind of rub elbows with like-minded folk. I think there's a lot of value to that. And plus, if there's excess food, not only does it feed the community, it can also help feed the pantries as well. So,
Oh, yeah.
if it does take off, there's a lot of potential for I've seen it. I've seen community gardens grow in other towns.
Yeah.
There's always a little bit, at first, there's a little bit of like just getting it started. But you get a motivated organizer in there. Once it's up and running, they're usually healthy and vibrant.
Yeah.
There's a big patch right outside of Montpelier. I think that's
Right, that's right. Yeah,
Morrisville has theirs at Stocksboro.
Right.
It's quite popular, but it does keep getting flooded. So that's the best spot right in the FEMA flood zone to have a basic garden. And I'm on the garden committee right now, but we weren't approached by Kurt Billings about any of this other stuff, so I don't really know, we don't know anything about it. Yeah, I mean, I heard that he wanted to do
I
that.
made the assumption that he was already talking to people about it.
Well, maybe he's talking to the select board, but he's not talking to the garden committee that's already established.
That one is. How's that one work exactly?
It's just a bunch of volunteers that, kind of cooperatively work out there, and it's open to whoever wants to harvest vegetable, work in there. Hang out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You don't have individual plots?
No.
It's more of like okay. Doesn't go in one community, individual plots, and this is like just, everyone's kind of working on the one plot together.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of volunteers, and we have like a schedule and get together once in a while to, do the swap and maybe do, we'll do.
Okay, so that's more like, okay, I could see that. That could maybe work.
The way that the community garden has supported our family, for instance, is like we have a pretty big garden ourselves, but not every crop makes it. Sometimes there's an infestation, sometimes we get blight, whatever. And it's nice to have, someone else with healthy beans, and they're just like, hey, we got some extra. And so it's kind of grow down all the basket. It's just, I don't know, it's reassuring to know that there's that resources available from when you need it. But anyway,
Yeah, what else we got for forest?
some things that are kind of on the project board that we don't necessarily need to have an answer for, but I'm gonna keep bringing it up so that we think about it. Town barbecue, coming up. They haven't asked yet. They're gonna ask if we want to do a table.
Yeah.
So
We have a meeting once a month, and
So
you
I'll
should come and you might get Shanghai.
I'll
An empty chair.
say one of the trail posters, and I'll probably print out or locate a map poster and just put those on the table.
What's the date? Do you know?
Don't know yet. She hasn't reached out yet with the specifics. It's usually about the last weekend in August.
Can we have that coincide with Senator Welch's
That's the-
visit?
I can send an email and see, but that would be a natural fit, be a natural fit, yeah. The other things that I'm thinking of are the earthen dam. I haven't laid eyes on the earthen dam, so I don't know exactly what needs to be done other than what we've talked about in various discussions. But it might be too busy right now for people to be thinking about it, but as we get into the fall, maybe
Totally on
we'll.
my list. It's totally on my radar.
Nice.
Let's hear for that project.
Yeah, great. And then, the invasive species, it sounded like there was a plan to rip some things out, at the right time. I just wanna, it's just mostly just kind of like a scheduled reminder of like, if there's patches that haven't been dealt with yet. The earliest opportunity if we can get it. Yeah. And if we gotta call Luke in to poison something.
Have we ID'd the locations?
Yeah, I think just give him like a punch list of things to do, and when he's done with this application process and is available again, I'm sure he would welcome a walk in the woods.
So something like this, the earthen dam, then what do we actually, what needs to happen to make this start?
Well, the environment
Available.
before, and other people had said that they had spotted where those plants were located.
This is the.
Invasive species specifically. In terms of the earthen dam, like I said, I haven't been there, but my understanding is that the vegetation needs to be cleared off of it. Especially like the larger woodier stuff, because the root structure will compromise the integrity of the.
And the trees just need to be cut.
Yeah.
I mean, you're feeling it.
What is it, like chop and dry type of thing?
I think so, yeah.
So,
I mean, I walk up there once a week, so.
Okay.
I, and I don't know what action you took at the last meeting on me clearing the rest of the road.
The bulk of the discussion, I think, took place when we were still doing the stewardship plan, if I remember correctly, but yeah, I think the basic takeaway, Jack would know the best in terms of like. What he had a punch list of things, but basically just clear out the larger vegetation. The woodier stuff, the shrubs, the trees, because he was saying that the larger structure over time will destroy it, so.
I think it could be as simple as just cutting them and letting them fall as where they are and.
Because, somebody had cut some brush.
I did,
And piled it all up on the bank.
yeah.
So is that like what needs to happen with,
The trees just need to be cut. I mean, as far as like, I guess.
do we let them just fall and sit where they lie, or do?
It's not near trails or anything like that, so. I don't see any reason it can't just literally just be cut and left there, to rot down and, feed the woods. Become habitat, become messy woods, habitat. I mean, unless anyone else has some plan for that pond and. I say just cut it and leave them. I mean,
I think perhaps try to get permission for one work day, access through Scott Furlan's land to get there.
I'd be happy to help too, if we wanna just bang it out,
We
like.
could have a 1 day work project.
You think Furlan's or Bill Howland's? That's Bill Howland's probably to get out there with, for a work
Do you
day.
think we can? That would be wonderful.
I did talk with him a couple of weeks ago. I think generally the idea of to access to maintain stuff is okay. But he said it was certainly all right if I did. But I think it's probably a bigger conversation he wants to have. Want to have with him.
Because it's really hard trying to plug a chainsaw and gas and oil. Lunch and.
Well, I've been just walking up with my electric chainsaw on my back, and then I don't have to worry about the gas, and I just
You're
do
not
it.
talking, I
But I
think
don't
you
know how
probably
big
know
we're
that, you're not talking about brush. I mean,
Good size.
this,
Yeah,
it's from this big to this big, and they all lean over the water.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're gonna cut anything up there, it's gonna take 3 or 4 people to help get them out of the water. You know, I think if you leave them in the water, it's a worse situation than leaving them on the dam.
I would feel much more comfortable with a plan, a group of people, and not just going up and taking responsibility myself and screwing this up.
That's fair.
But like getting up there and seeing what's the project involved and
I do have a
what we want
chainsaw
to finish.
winch that could potentially winch them out. It's pretty portable.
So, well, let's make a date for a walk.
They do make a winch.
Who wants to get up there?
They do make a winch, it's connected right to a chainsaw.
Yes, I have one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got it used weeks like hell, but it works.
I think it would work great.
I mean, I can go up and take some photos and stuff if you want to just look at, and then look at those at the next meeting to see what.
Yeah.
I would love to. I haven't been out there in a while. It's a nice little spot.
Let's,
It's a beautiful spot.
I would say just go for it. Bring light tools, spec it out. The larger stuff, come up with the plan on the spot. And there's no reason to bring it back to the meeting. We should kick in everyone.
Should we do bring like electric stuff and do just get what you can with the small.
Don't do anything that's gonna,
Get it started.
yeah, don't do anything that's gonna put anybody in danger or, but.
Because, you know,
We also have to,
this dam,
we gotta work out that.
200 feet long.
Right.
That's just the dam that reads up.
Yeah, in my mind, what's constituting the dam, it almost goes it's half the pond.
Yes.
yeah, do we have to clear all of that?
There's ledge on one side and the other's all the earthen dam, right? So are we,
How much of it is constructed? I guess that's the question.
When?
How much of the dam was human construction?
It's the cat.
Yeah,
Really, by the layout, it's hard to tell.
I'd love to go for a walk up
I
there.
started on one end, but
Yeah,
I need an excuse to get into the town forest to have a band, so they'll give me an excuse.
who wants to take a walk on Saturday morning?
your brother must have come in on Scott Furlow's.
Yep. Did he go through? Yeah, Ferland, yeah. Trying to remember.
Because
So
from
it's-
his cabin, it's close.
Yeah,
yeah, oh yeah.
right.
Oh,
Yes,
see.
yeah. He got took Ferland's roads out and then just did a little bushwhack.
Yeah.
To cut across. Well, yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna need permission to access. Because I think, I don't want to scare Bill Howland too much. Like, he said he was fine with me crossing his land.
Do you think that,
Before we
do you
send
think that
out the
extends, do you think that extends to you and a friend or two? Because if not, we can get there from here. Or talk to, maybe Trevor Corp can, if he doesn't mind a few of us walking in, we can walk around Furlands.
Trevor wouldn't have any problem with a work day out there, but to go around Scott Furlow's land, it's quite a ways.
It's a little ways, yeah. At least it's more or less flat as opposed to starting to here and having to climb the hill.
Right. It's not, it's pretty flat.
I'd be happy to, take and take my electric chainsaw in my backpack and get myself out to the pond.
Well, Howland he was going away and said when he came back up next time, I told him to come see me.
Mhm.
And he said he wanted to take a walk up there and see what we were looking at and talking about, what we needed to do. I haven't seen him since then. He's been up, but I suspect maybe he's gonna be up in the next week or two. So, I mean, I can certainly hope to check with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to talk to him. I asked my dad a couple of times for contact info and that channel is not always productive for getting information that I'm looking for, but you know, I know he and my dad have worked together and stuff. I'd like to. I've probably met him sometime, but it was probably, you know, it's probably 40 years ago when I was in a different place in my life. Well, do we have anything else we need to cover from business perspective, town forest wise?
Everything on my list and then some.
Cool. So, you know, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. And, if, you know, if anybody comes along and feels a big burst of energy and wants to do more and wants to step into the role of chairman again, I'm not anxious to step down. I just feel like there's more that could be done and I'm not doing so, you know, not doing all the things that I can see that could be. So I don't want to stand in the way. That's all.
Sometimes forests do better when they're just left alone to grow.
It is true.
Yeah, trees are in no rush.
That, or they at least do fine. They do fine being left alone. They can be improved by doing stuff, but they can also be okay. It's one of those.
And if it gets done this year or next year, it's probably still going to be good when it's, you know,
Yeah.
or the year after. It's probably
Worse
still
than
gonna be
swirl.
Yeah, cool. Well, on that note, then, call the meeting adjourned.
You want to hit me up for Saturday if we can, I don't know. If we even